what we're going to do in a minute is go over to Bali. But first of all, we're going to be considering a story that's been pushed off the front pages of the news by the earthquake on the Kamchatka Peninsula. And of course, that is the situation on the border between Thailand and Cambodia, which has been highly volatile over the past week, with both civilians and soldiers being killed. And there's now confused reporting on the state of the ceasefire. So I'm pleased to welcome Carl Czar to the programme. Carl, obviously I've given a very bland summary of what has been going on. Can you just give a bit more detail, as you see it, into what has actually happened? Carl, we can't hear you at the moment.
Okay, I just unmuted myself.
Okay, no
it's
worries.
Always okay
You're
to,
back on.
It's always okay to blame the French in all situations. And in this case, you will be correct, because what happened between Thailand and Cambodia is a case of legacy colonial borders driving the dispute between modern nation states. And the particular dispute centers around a collection of ancient Hindu temples left by the ancient Khmer Empire. For people who are not aware, Khmer, the Khmer is an ethnic name for Cambodians. And the ancient Khmer Empire used to cover much of Southeast Asia, including modern Thailand, Cambodia, Laos, South Vietnam. But as Mongol conquest of China happened, a lot of the Thai-speaking people were driven out of southern China, migrating to Southeast Asia, and this coincided with the decline of Khmer Empire. The Thai-speaking people then they founded their own state, and eventually this gave rise to the state of Siam, and later the modern state of Thailand. And before the Europeans came to Southeast Asia, Siam was a quite powerful state. It actually managed to subjugate Cambodia and turn it into a feudal overlord-vassal relationship. But Cambodia still maintained its independence. And then entered the French in the 19th century. And French established a colony over what they call French Indochina, which covers Laos, Vietnam, Cambodia, and you left a case with Thailand, which has been sandwiched between French Indochina on the east and the British Myanmar on the west. And Siam desperately tried to maintain its independence. So to do so, they had to give up a lot of territorial concession to the French. One thing they had to give up is their overlord relationship to Cambodia. And France said, okay, we'll recognize that Cambodia is our territory now. We'll give you a couple provinces, as consolation prize. But then French reneged a couple years later, said, okay, well, actually, we're kidding. We're taking back those provinces. And then France further proposed, let's demarcate our border according to the so-called watershed principle. Look at those natural mountains. We'll make the perfect natural border. Thailand had no choice but to accept this, because France was much stronger power. But when French authority finally start to survey the map, they decide to unilaterally alter the actual border. They say, okay, these sites are ancient Khmer Hindu temples. That's important cultural heritage to the Cambodian people. So we have to include that in our map. And they did it without informing the Thailand side. And, Thai was not very happy about it. When they finally find out what's going on, but the Europeans told the Thailand, sorry, it took you 20 years to complain. That means for 20 years you recognize France's possession of this territory. And then during the World War II, Thailand actually joined the Imperial Japanese in order to recover this disputed territory from France. But they have to, when the tide turned against the Japanese, Thailand had to give that territory back to not get on the Allies' bad side, so they don't be labeled as a co-belligerent. But when France get defeated by the Vietnamese in the Dien Bien Phu, and as a result of the 1954 Geneva Convention, French troops had to leave French Indochina, including Cambodia. Thailand took that opportunity to occupy the disputed territory. And then Cambodia took Thailand to court, to the International Court of Justice in 1962, which ruled those temples belonged to Cambodia, but the court never ruled whether the land around the temple belonged to Cambodia. So the dispute went on. And then in 2008, the dispute flared up and there was a border skirmish because Cambodia applied for UNESCO heritage site status for this Preah Vihear temple, and Thailand objected. That led to the border clash. Then later in 2011, Cambodia side filed another petition to International Court of Justice to ask for ruling around the land around the temple. And to another fresh round of clash, the ICJ actually ruled that, yes, those land around the temple should also go to Cambodia. But Thailand was not happy about this, and this led to the latest fresh round of fighting in May. And as a result of May fighting, that the Thai Prime Minister actually made a phone call to the Cambodian leadership, try to calm things down a little bit. But then the audio tape was leaked, and you raised a huge uproar in Thailand because in the phone call, she called the Hun Sen, the leader of Cambodia, Hun Sen, uncle, and said, "We're sorry. We don't mean for this to happen. It's a Thai general that made a mistake. I will fix this." And this audio recording caused a huge uproar in Thailand because they feel she was being unpatriotic. She's been, too nice to the enemy. And so that led to the Thai Supreme Court to actually suspend the Thai Prime Minister. So right now she's suspended. Now they have an acting Prime Minister. And they're going to make a final ruling on whether she can stay on as a Thai Prime Minister now. And at this critical juncture, the conflict broke out again. And then we saw this is the most deadliest conflict of this border dispute since it started 1 century ago. And this obviously is very concerning for all the countries involved, especially in ASEAN and China as well, because China has a lot of investment in both Thailand and Cambodia. What happened, you got Donald Trump, who is desperate for his Nobel Peace Prize, also got involved by threatening to level tariff on both nations if they don't come to set down. So now we have a ASEAN brokered ceasefire by Malaysian Prime Minister Anwar, and both sides agreed to have the ceasefire on Monday, midnight Monday, but as of right now, Thailand is accusing Cambodia of violating the ceasefire twice. Cambodia denies it. They invite international observers. And the two-side defense minister are actually going to meet again next week on Monday to discuss this border dispute issue. But I don't expect the border to blow up into a general war because, this conflict, we have seen this conflict happen before. It's a border skirmish. There's no reason the two countries should really fight a war over this. We're talking about very sliver piece of land in very remote area with tropical jungles. And what more likely was there's some behind the scene political horse trading that it's not, might not become clear much later because, on the Thai side, obviously, the Thai military is not very happy with their prime minister. They're trying to get rid of her. And on the Cambodian side, Cambodia just have a leadership transition. Hun Sen, who had been ruling Cambodia since 1980s, is now giving the top post to his son, Hu Man Net, who does not have the experience or the prestige yet. So this is an opportunity for him to show himself as a tough leader who can defend Cambodian sovereignty and national honor. And so this is very likely both sides will make any meaningful concessions in the border dispute. But what most likely scenario is this will be another frozen conflict. And hopefully both sides will go back to do what's actually most important. The top priority for both countries is actually investing in infrastructure, education, and quality life for their citizens. There's really no need for these two countries to be engaging a war right now. The two countries are very similar cultural, religion. And in fact, at the disputed border, on both sides, they're essentially the same people. On the Thailand side, the people who live there are ethnic Khmer, who are the same ethnic stock as the Cambodians on the other side. So let's hope the ceasefire lasts. We'll have to follow the story very closely in the coming weeks.
Yeah, Carl, I mean, as you say, given that it's been going on for such a long time, it seems reasonable to wonder who would be benefiting from the militarization both sides of the border. And of course, one wonders to what extent the creation of the conflict in the first place could have been deliberate. Unfortunately, we don't have time to cover that now, but perhaps we can move on and discuss that a little bit in extra. But thank you very much indeed. That was very comprehensive, and I think will have given a huge insight to the audience.